Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game, and welcome back to Changeling. Today we are going to start Danny's route. Now, if you remember Danny, he's our werewolf bro. He seems to be majorly into sports, and I'm starting off in the prologue because we can meet him a little earlier than we did last time. This is actually the option I picked when I first did my gander way back when, so this should be fun. We're gonna take the box to the backyard for Mom. I hope you know that this is cruel and unusual punishment.
It's not punishment, just fulfilling obligations.
Cruel! I barely got the last word in before the door slammed shut. She was big about obligations and responsibilities, but it wasn't too bad, I guess. Dad was way worse. I wrangled the box back to the tool shed at the far corner of the backyard. What's even in this thing? It must have been tools and stuff since it was heading to the shed. Mom should seriously just get rid of them anyway. Dad was a menace with anything sharp or connected to a power source. He was a businessman? Why can I not read? A businessman to the core, but a handyman? Not so much. Disaster always ensued the moment he got his hands on tools. I waded through the weeds to the tool shed, noting that all the flower beds were still full of wilted bulbs. It needed some major cleanup. I glanced at the fairy ring when I passed it. New mushrooms had already popped up to replace the ones Spencer kicked over. It always impressed me how fast those things could grow. I smiled to myself. The shed was bolted shut, and I wonder if anyone had even tried to open it yet. If there are spiders in there, I will definitely scream. I set the box down and looked all around the bolt to check for creepy crawlies, especially those huge, intimidating orb weavers. A door slammed at the next house over. I glanced over instinctively, but of course the privacy fence blocked my view. Regardless, it was impossible to avoid eavesdropping on what seemed to be two young guys talking.
Did you have to drag me out of bed so early for this? I was up half the night. You're always up half the night. Come on, exercise is good for you, and you asked me to help you with this. I know.
Two guys for sure. One had a deep, warm voice. The other just sounded half asleep. I smiled as I finally slid the bolt over and shoved the door open. Sounded like two high schoolers. Maybe around my age? Maybe dateable? Wiggle waggle? I quickly dropped the box off to one side and stepped out of the shed before some gross creepy crawly got on me.
You know, with your skills, you should be great at this, so I'm not going to take it easy on you. Hey, careful! There's no way I'm a match for your crazy... Just catch! Ugh!
I wasn't quite sure what had just happened. I just stepped out of the shed, and suddenly I was on the ground seeing stars and trying to figure out what had just bounced off my head. It had looked vaguely football-shaped, but who the heck throws like that?
Oh my god, are you okay?
I blinked rapidly and looked around. Okay, now I'm hearing voices descend from the sky. I probably have brain damage.
Up here.
Oh, right. Someone was peering at me over the top of the wooden fence.
Don't move, okay? I'm coming over.
Lots of rustling and suspicious movements later, and a huge dark-haired guy swung over a tree branch and into my yard. Wow. Maybe it was just the blurred vision, but he was quite good looking. Before I knew it, Mr. Tall, Dark, and Attractive was kneeling over me with a worried look on his face. So happy I decided to go back to the prologue for this.
I am so sorry. I didn't realize anyone would be back here, and, well, my friend was supposed to catch that.
He, missed.
Are you okay?
I felt hands on my face as the boy tried to brush my bangs aside to get a look at my forehead. My cheeks instantly heated up. I made a feeble attempt to push his hands away as they grazed the painful bump forming. I'm fine. Seriously. I mean, you have a really good arm, but the stars and little birdies are fading, so I think I'll be fine. He gave me a really sweet, apologetic smile.
This is definitely not how I planned to meet the new neighbors.
He stood and offered me a hand, which I took to pull myself up. Well, there are worse ways to make an unforgettable first impression. Then again, given the size of the lump on my head, I may well forget this whole thing in a few minutes anyway.
Ugh.
I'm kidding. He breathed an almost comical sigh of relief.
Short of driving my car into your house, I can't imagine how this could get much worse. I'm Danny, by the way. And are you really okay?
Nora. Nice to meet you. And yes, I suspect the brain damage will be minimal.
I'm really, really sorry. Hello? Everything okay over there?
Another head popped over the fence, this one belonging to a pale purple-haired boy. Definitely the sleepyhead.
Oh. Hello there. This is my friend Elliot, though most people just call him Mozzie.
I forgot about that.
He was supposed to catch that.
I smirked up at the boy dangling over the fence. Good job. He returned the smirk with a silly grin.
Hey, playing catch with the quarterback this morning was not my idea. I am sorry, though. You have a huge bump on your head.
I touched my forehead and winced. Yeah, that might need some ice. With luck, it'll get me out of helping unpack the kitchen. They both laughed.
Well, we try to be helpful.
Next time, could you just pretend to bounce a ball off my head?
I'm really, really sorry.
I said it's okay.
I still feel bad, though.
It's fine. I'll live. With
minimal brain damage?
Most likely.
Ahem.
We both looked at the purple-haired guy who was still peering down at us from the fence.
So, not to interrupt, but I was just wondering. I mean, I guess you'll be starting school around here soon?
Yeah, on Monday.
We're both seniors at Stone Circle Academy. You?
Oh, cool! My brother and I are seniors too. We'll be starting there on Monday. That's where we went before we moved.
Nice. You used to live here?
A few years ago, yeah. We're moving back to be closer to my grandparents.
Gotcha. So you and your brother are in the same grade?
Twins. You lucked out, though. I'm the good one. Spencer's evil.
What the hell, Nora? You're supposed to be helping out, not flirting with the locals.
Oh god. Guys, I just had a horrible thought. So I'm trying to think how I'm gonna word this. Well, you guys can probably, if you're watching my Steam Prison playthrough, you probably know that I'm using the same voice for Spencer and Finn. One of the big reasons I used that voice for Finn was because I knew he was a love interest. And I figured, okay, I'll give Finn a voice that's not a love interest in the other game, so there's like some variety going on, right? But it has just occurred to me that in this game, Spencer kills me a lot. And if you see where I'm going with this, in Steam Prison, Finn kills me a lot. It seems like it's going to be that way anyway. So I'm gonna have to hear this voice killing me for the foreseeable future. And that was not planned. Oh no. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had the horrible realization I had to share that with you guys, but I'm like, oh, wait. Anyway, no one's dying right now, so let's just keep going. Ah yes, great timing, as always.
Finish up out there and get back inside. Mom's looking for you.
I glared at the house as Spencer's head of auburn curls vanished back into the kitchen. See? Evil.
Sorry to interrupt your unpacking with flirting, especially when it entails nearly knocking you unconscious. I'll make it up to you sometime.
It's not a big deal. Though I wouldn't object if you aimed for my brother's head next time instead. I mean, since you like being so helpful.
I'll try.
It was nice to meet you. Elliot, right?
Yup. I guess I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. He vanished behind the fence again, leaving me alone with Danny.
Mind if I go through the gate on my way out?
Yeah, no problem. I showed him the way, then went back inside for an ice pack and breakfast. Alright, and we're back. Or, not yet. Oh yeah, I forgot, I can look at this thingy. That's so useful! Mom spent a few minutes fussing over my head before setting my plate down in front of me and giving me the long list of chores I had to complete. It was going to be a long, long day. Okay, now we can get going. I'm gonna ignore you this time. He was always like this. I should have been used to it by now. Trying to talk to him anymore never did any good. Over the years, I'd learned that the easiest way to avoid an argument with him was to just pretend he didn't exist. I stared out the window, watching the trees pass. I hated this. Well. Yeah, Kara. I'll be quiet this time. I looked at Allie, but she just shrugged. There wasn't much to say. It was obvious Kara was still bitter, but I wasn't in the mood to fight with anyone else this morning, so I kept my mouth shut. Alright. Good talk. Now, most importantly, try and talk to Danny. Danny happened to look my way after another round of laughter, and I caught his eye. I waved slightly, giving him a hopeful smile. He brightened and shot me a blinding smile in return, causing a few others to turn and look my way as he waved me over enthusiastically. I didn't really like big groups of people much, but I still kind of wanted to stop and say hello, even though it didn't look like there were any empty seats near him anyway. There was a jumble of queries about who I was, and while I couldn't hear the response, I assumed he and Elliot were explaining to everyone that I had moved in next door. It buoyed my mood to see that someone besides Allie also seemed glad to see me, especially after dealing with Spencer and Kara already that morning. Unfortunately, before I could go over and say hello, Allie grabbed my arm and dragged me toward Mrs. Roberts.
Come on, I'll introduce you before class starts.
Danny looked a little disappointed, but also amused as I was dragged away. I'll find you later, boo! I mouthed sorry to him and he shook his head, grinning slightly as he waved. I hoped we'd at least be able to catch up sometime later. Oh, don't you worry, girl. I got you. I got you. I'm gonna sit with Ghost Boy. Mark, you can, have your cool corner by yourself. We'll just leave that alone for right now. Oh, and the old boo. I'll let him get his own book this time. Or, I'm waiting anyway. Did I do this already? No, I haven't. Okay. I decided to wait until the hall cleared a little before attempting to retrieve the book. It's not like the world would end if I was a little tardy for one class. Besides, it was trigonometry. Not like I was eager to go there anyway. I winced as an unwary student kicked the book around a corner at the end of the lockers. It wasn't going to be ruined just from that, but still. Should probably just go get it before someone does ruin it somehow. Fortunately, with the passing period half over, the crowd was thinning out pretty quickly. When it looked safe, I made a beeline for the book. I managed to avoid getting too banged up on the way over, but some big athletic type did accidentally whack me in the face with his backpack. He didn't even notice. I skittered over to the book and nudged it with my toe. What the heck is with this creepy thing? Whoa! We never actually got to take a look at that the first time. Well. And I wonder why he didn't like to use that one. I bent down to pick it up, seriously wondering about this Corvin guy's taste in reading material. What kind of book even is this? Maybe some kind of fantasy novel? See, if I had seen something like that, I would immediately assume it's a journal of some kind. Because there's no title, and it's bound. So I would assume it was like his journal. I'd be like, that's a dope-ass journal, man. I probably should have taken it straight to the office, but I was kind of curious about it. I was about to crack open the cover and flip through the pages when, oh man, thank goodness.
Oh, that's mine.
Startled, I looked up to see Corvin standing there with a surprised look on his face. Oh, you came back. I saw you drop this earlier and was going to return it, or just drop it by the office. For some reason, with the way he was looking at me, I felt like I'd done something wrong. What if it was a weird diary or something? He didn't really seem mad, but he was definitely eyeing me pretty intently.
So you can see, I mean, you saw me drop it.
Caught himself. Yeah, I think it was when you ran into that girl earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's probably right. I didn't realize I dropped it. Sorry to trouble you.
It's not a big deal or anything.
Can I have it back now?
Sure, sorry. I handed the book over and he shoved it into his backpack. I kind of wanted to ask about it because it looked really weird, but I just let it go.
Anyway, thanks for the help. I'll definitely see you later. Oh yeah, what was your name?
Nora. I'm Nora.
I'll remember that. I'll see you later.
With that, he disappeared down the hall.
What was that about?
Nothing really. Someone just dropped a book.
I see. And you, being Captain Bookworm, had to step in and return it?
Something like that. Captain Bookworm? I decided to let that one go. Anyway, can you help me get to Trig? I have no idea where I'm going.
Your sense of direction still sucks. Come on.
Oh, I just realized we saw Danny. Hold on. Let's go. Can we go back to that? Yeah. Danny, save me from this Edward Cullen boy. Pretty scary. There we go.
Hey Mark, hey Nora.
I was relieved when a familiar face showed up, slinging an arm across the blonde's shoulders as he grinned down at me. Hey, Danny.
I didn't get a chance to say hi in literature.
It's okay. You were surrounded and Allie was either going to introduce me to the teacher or pull my arm out of its socket if I didn't comply.
Glad you chose to comply then.
Yeah, autonomy wasn't quite worth losing an arm. Mark shrugged away from Danny's arm and brushed off his sleeve, glaring at us both in turn.
So you two know each other. Do you think you can kindly ask her to leave my table?
Danny gave Mark a pained look, but the blonde boy didn't budge.
Come on, Mark. She's new. You could at least give it a week before you start drawing lines everywhere and declaring where your territory is. I prefer eating alone. You know that. Right. Yes. I do remember that.
He gave me an apologetic smile. I was getting used to seeing that sort of smile from him. At least this time didn't involve me getting hit in the head.
In any case, I was going to see if you wanted to come meet with me and Elliot and everyone else. Mark can be sort of antisocial, but he's not a bad guy. He doesn't mean any harm.
Of course he didn't. He was just rudely kicking me out of his spot and trying to intimidate me. I stood. I didn't really get why I should have to put up with people being rude to me for no reason. And I wasn't really up for a pity invite to the popular table. Thanks anyway. I think I lost my appetite. Fortunately, I hadn't unloaded anything from my backpack, so I just snatched it up and started away from the table. I wanted to ignore Danny's frown, but there was something inherently puppy dog about it that warranted some kind of response. Thanks for the offer. Really. I'm just not up for it right now. I left the cafeteria without another word, and no one came after me. Not that I really expected otherwise. Hey, Elliot. Yeah. Can I not? Okay. Have fun at your club. I'm not crying. And I will try texting my mom this time. I was about to reject Ewan's offer and just text mom or walk home when my phone chimed. I rapidly dug it out of my backpack and checked the messages. It was... Dad. This face! Oh my god, I need to change my image from my father to that. It's so good. Oh, I love it.
Where are you? Are you at the school?
Yes.
Your brother?
My dad. I think he's figured out something is weird.
Don't go anywhere. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
I let out a relieved sigh. Oh, thanks, Dad. It looks like he's on his way to get me. Thanks for the offer, though. I really appreciate it.
Don't mention it.
I guess I'll see you later, then.
Good luck with your brother.
He said a quick goodbye and left. What a pure boy. I saw Dad's car just as Ewan was turning out of the parking lot. He looked furious as he pulled to a stop near the sidewalk. Man, he got here fast. I grabbed my book bag and hurried toward him, hoping I didn't still look like I'd been crying. He took off quickly, and we drove in silence for several minutes. How did you know I was still here?
I didn't. Grandma was at the house doing the last of the cleaning when Spencer got home without you. It didn't take long to figure out what happened. Do you want to talk about it?
Which part? The part where he drove away while looking right at me? Not really. I sounded bitter, but I couldn't help it. I was feeling pretty bitter just then.
Did you guys fight this morning?
It wasn't a fight, really. It was just... tense. But when is it not? He hates me.
He doesn't hate you.
Tears were stinging my eyes again.
Look, I know you're trying. I just wish you two could work this out, whatever it is.
That's hard to do when one person refuses to talk about it. I can't change what happened, but I don't think it's fair that he blames me like this.
I know that, honey.
I was probably just being overly sensitive, but I noticed that he didn't say it wasn't my fault.
Anyway, he won't do this again. He's going to spend the next month working his butt off for me. Trash duty, kitchen duty, and working at the showroom without pay. Maybe it'll give him time to figure things out.
I gave him a teary smile. Harsh.
Not as harsh as leaving you at school on the first day.
Oh, so if it was the second day it would have been okay. Maybe just worth just a week of hard work? Dad scowled at me, but he wasn't serious. I could see the smile threatening to break through.
Smart Alec.
I know. It's a tough job, but I try.
I was going to suggest we stop by for ice cream, but...
I gave him the best puppy eyes I could muster. Ice cream would definitely fix at least some of the utter ruin that was my first day at school.
Under one condition.
What's that?
Get Spencer's favorite. and refuse to share.
You're evil!
I've learned a few tricks from your mother.
Fortunately, Spencer and I had the same favorite ice cream. It's like we were twins. By the time we got home, Mom was there. I could hear her lecturing Spencer from the driveway. It didn't make the day any better, but there were worse ways to end the day than eating ice cream with Dad while listening to Mom rant at Spencer in the family room. Best dad ever. That was amazing. Okay, definitely not following the shadow. We'll leave that alone. Do I want to defend Spencer? That's the real question. You know, just for funsies, to explore most of the other options. I mean, the punishment was kind of harsh, but to be honest, I kind of loved it. Yeah, sue me. He deserved it this time. This is also for killing me multiple times. Maybe it would shake him up enough that he'd deal with his issues and start treating me like a fellow human being again. If he wanted to be mad at me forever, fine. But maybe now he wouldn't go out of his way to be mean to me. Or, hey, he could maybe even try to work things out like a normal person. Besides, I'd had a bad day too. And a sizable portion of my bad day was because of him. I was just rinsing my breakfast dishes when I heard Allie honking. Moments later, I ran out the door, still trying to pull on my jacket.
So I was thinking...
Very dangerous pastime. Oh. Alright, well Danny's here, so let's do a little bit of this. As soon as I reached the cafeteria, Danny ambushed me and insisted I have lunch with his group. Since it was better than eating alone, I didn't argue. Elliot was already waving at us from a table across the room, which made it even more impossible to say no. Danny led me over to where he and a few others were sitting.
So everyone, this is Nora.
I shifted uncomfortably as all eyes were suddenly on me.
Oh, the new girl everyone's talking about?
Well, she is new anyway. You sitting here today, Nora?
Yeah, looks like it. I was relieved that no one argued. They just moved their chairs around so I could sit sandwiched between Danny and Elliot.
So, how do you know Danny?
I looked over at the girl talking. I had no idea what her name was, but she had a nice smile. Well, I moved in next door.
Oh, so you're neighbors then?
I nodded. Yep, that's what moving in next door meant, pretty much. The boy who spoke leaned across the table and grinned.
So all the things people are saying about you, are they true? James, come on, man.
I was just asking. It's fine. And like I've told everyone so far, no, most of the things being said or speculated are not true. I really did get lost in the woods. I really don't remember it. My brother really was attacked by what we think was probably a cougar or something while out looking for me. Yes, he injured one of his eyes. No, they're not sure how. It's actually nowhere near as mysterious as people try to make it out to be. It was just sensationalized at the time. All that happened was that I got lost and Spencer somehow hurt his eye.
So, you really didn't see a murder in the woods?
Raina.
I think that's about as likely as encountering Sasquatch.
Maybe it was a serial-killing Sasquatch.
I liked her. Well, aliens are also a popular theory.
Serial-killing alien Sasquatch?
Now that's just crazy talk. Everyone laughed, and I was just relieved the conversation didn't seem like it was going to be the usual interrogation.
Oh, Elliot, man. I read about something yesterday that your club totally should investigate.
Oh?
Bat Squatch.
Bat Squatch?
You know, like giant bats.
He gestured wildly as he started explaining the supposed creature to Elliot. I tuned him out and turned to Danny. So, I don't see Allie anywhere. I didn't see her yesterday either. Do you know if she eats somewhere else?
Allie? Yeah. I don't think she eats in the cafeteria.
Ah, I see. That was disappointing. I guess it meant I couldn't even have lunch with her. I wondered where she did eat. Maybe with the teachers or something? Though I couldn't imagine that would be fun. But even if she wasn't around, Danny's friends weren't too bad. They were rowdy, but really nice. I didn't usually like crowds much, but after yesterday it was a nice change of pace to be surrounded by friendly people.
Speaking of the club, Allie mentioned she invited you to join it.
Oh yeah. Well...
Haven't made your mind up about it?
Well, I mean... I glanced back at James dubiously as he tried to convince Elliot that Bat Squatch was a viable topic of study for the club. Do you really study things like that? Danny just laughed.
No. Not really. We do look into the paranormal, but I suppose it's a little more mainstream than Bat Squatch.
Mainstream? I wondered if that was more along the lines of ghosts and ESP instead of UFOs and unlikely mammals.
There are a lot of stories that have much more solid foundation beneath them than Bat Squatch. You don't think that maybe some folklore has a seed of truth to it?
I guess it depends on the folklore. I mean, if you take something like the vampires of Europe, a lot of people think that certain historical figures might have inspired some of those tales with their less than savory behavior. But if you're suggesting that the seed of truth is supernatural in origin, I'm not sure about that.
But it does make for a potentially interesting study topic, right?
I suppose it might.
If Allie invited you, then you should consider taking her up on it. It might be nice to have a new member. No, seriously. We'd love to have a new member.
Hey, that's not fair. I tried to join too, you know. And your president kept avoiding me until I finally ended up joining something else. And now my schedule's too full.
I thought you didn't join because the club room creeped you out.
That's not it. I mean, it is kind of creepy though.
I didn't even think the Mysteries Club accepted new members. Everyone I know who thought about joining ended up not doing it.
We take new members sometimes. I think people often just decide they don't have time for it.
Huh. Now they're making me kind of curious. And Danny's description actually did sound kind of interesting. At the very least, it was different than what I'd first imagined. I mulled it over for the rest of lunch, wondering just what kind of club it really was. Alright, well... Interesting. I thought Danny would come at this point instead of Corvin. But no, Corvin came anyway. I don't remember which option I picked for these. For this. Was it this? Okay, it was that. Then I want to pick the other option. Oh, hold on. Ewan, hang on to your head. I mean, yeah, just hold on to your head for a second. I gripped my head. Everyone hold on to your head, tightly, trying to absorb all that. I was overanalyzing again. Just because Spencer and I had active imaginations as children, it didn't mean it was real. And how could getting lost in the woods have anything to do with any of this? I couldn't accept that. I couldn't join the club under some false hope it would magically fix things with my brother. Okay, I think we're... No, not yet. That's a nice thought, but I don't think this has anything to do with any of that, Allie.
It's not the first time something strange has happened to you. You can't rule out a connection.
I didn't need a reminder about that. Especially not after last night. In fact, the weird things that had happened to me in the past just made this even scarier. That's why I didn't want to think about it. The things Spencer had said back then made this too scary. He'd called me a monster back then, and now everyone was saying I might not be human? I stood up abruptly. I can rule out anything I want.
Nora, don't get mad, please.
I'm not mad. I just don't want anything to do with any of this.
But you...
What? I have to? Because someone is going to force me? How is that fair? I whirled around and headed for the door. I had to get out of this room. I had to get somewhere I could think. And Allie, she could have at least given me some kind of warning about all this before just springing it on me. Why did all this start happening as soon as I was finally home again?
Nora, wait!
Don't talk to me right now. I need some space. I fled to the door, determined to leave. I didn't even know where I was going. Just out. Just away from here. Someone stepped through the doorway just as I tried to leave. Can you please move? Ah! Squeak! Alright, so. Here we go. We get to pick our boy. Let's do this. I only had 2 options. To be honest, I didn't really know what a good starting point would be. I had an entire underground society full of paranormal creatures to study. Where did one even start with that? If I knew what I was, I would start there. But I didn't. So I just pointed to something on the list without giving it much thought.
Werewolves. Very well, then.
He let out a loud, long whistle that startled me. At first, nothing happened, and I assumed he was whistling for an assistant, but a few seconds later, I heard a soft swooshing sound coming towards us from the stacks. I looked in that direction, and, to my surprise, the book simply floated out of the maze of shelves and straight to Velos' hand. He immediately handed it over to me. I took it hesitantly, looking down at the worn-out cover curiously. Thank you, Velos. Flying books. Well, he was a wizard after all, I supposed. I took the book and Allie pointed me to a table nearby.
I'm going to go contact the agency. They'll probably want me to show them where the incident happened, so I'll have to step out for a bit.
She tugged my elbow and pulled me over to the table, speaking quietly.
I know you probably don't want me to, but I'm going to find someone to come hang out with you, okay? I don't want to leave you alone.
Well, I mean, Velos is literally right over there.
Velos is not very social and forgets other people exist when he's working. I'll send someone else, okay?
I don't really...
Need a babysitter, I know. Too bad. Trust me on this. You don't want to be alone right now.
I guess.
I'll see you in a while.
She shot me a grin and left me through the same door where we'd come in. I sat down. I had been so prepared to try to embrace everything. So of course this morning had to be horrifying and stupid. I carefully opened the old book and flipped through the first few pages. I just needed to try to read and not focus too much on the current situation. Allie and her agency would get it all straightened out. I hoped. In the meantime, I looked down at the text, frowning. Like many other paranormal beings, it is believed that werewolves originated in a realm beyond the Divide, a metaphysical barrier that separates the human world from other realms. However, several ancient civilizations make mention of creatures that are believed to have been the first human werewolves. It is clear from this fact that werewolves have been in the human realm for a very long time. So I guess a lot of ancient stories and folklore really do have at least some basis in reality. That had been essentially what Danny told me during lunch yesterday, too. But how twisted had the truth become over the years? And just how much of legend and folklore dealt with actual paranormal things versus things that were made up? Surely not every aspect of myth was founded in truth. I looked back down at the book. Exactly who the first natural werewolves were is unknown, but werewolf lore suggests they came to Earth explicitly to expand their numbers by infecting humans. Like vampirism, lycanthropy spreads like a virus when introduced to a human body. Ah. Well, I can't imagine that got them a warm reception here. Werewolves are generally only bound by the lunar cycle when they are first infected. With time, they are able to learn to control their transformations beyond boundaries enforced by the phases of the moon. Nice. Though their regenerative capabilities, speed, and strength are far above that of a human, many throughout history have tried to eliminate werewolves in hopes of stopping the spread of the virus. Others have instead focused efforts on finding a cure. Jeez. That was awfully dramatic. And wasn't that just genocide? What kind of person would think that was okay? Nothing I'd read so far made it seem like lycanthropy was particularly horrible.
Is it okay if I sit here? Allie asked me to come hang out with you.
At the sudden voice, I yelped loud enough that the sound echoed around us. I expected an angry shush from Velos, but he didn't even look up from his work. I stared up at Danny, with my heart trying to leap out of my chest and greet him personally. I tried to find the strength to be mad, but he was giving me his usual puppy dog smile, and I just couldn't get angry at that.
Sorry about that. You must have been really into whatever you're reading.
Not really. I think I'm just a bit on edge.
Yeah, this place can get a little spooky.
Oh, it's not the library, really. Just kind of a rough morning.
I heard. Are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't hurt, just a little freaked out. I guess it's no worse than yesterday when I saw Ewan without a head.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
News sure travels fast in this club.
Well, we do try to keep each other informed of what's going on.
I see. So, I fidgeted awkwardly, trying to come up with something to say. I basically have no idea what kind of strange magical creature I am. What about you? I mentally kicked myself. Why did I have to blurt out something like that? Is it okay to ask that? I mean, it's not the supernatural equivalent asking whether you wear boxers or briefs, is it? Because if it is, you can forget I asked. Wow, what an equivalent to compare that to. Danny just chuckled quietly. If he answers the boxers or brief questions as well, bonus points for you, my sir. But his smile faded slightly as he reached over and tapped the book in front of me. What a coinky-dink.
You're reading about me.
You're a werewolf?
Will you be quiet?
Sorry! That must have been louder than I intended. I tried again, quieter this time. You're a werewolf? Aw, I haven't seen this look on Danny before. Poor Danny. Danny almost smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes before it faded again.
Yeah. Going on 3 years now.
Oh. He didn't look happy about it, and I wasn't sure how to ask what it was like. I guess it wasn't a fun thing to talk about. I hadn't gotten that far in the book yet, but getting infected with lycanthropy surely involved a traumatic love bite from an unfriendly creature. I mean, I assumed werewolves didn't ask before they infected you, and that biting was involved. I looked at the book in front of me and chewed my lip as awkward silence descended upon us.
It's okay if you...
I'm sorry, We both stopped and laughed. Oh god, the awkwardness was getting worse.
I'll go first, but only because I don't want you to apologize. And you can ask about the werewolf thing if you want. I'm okay talking about it.
No! No, I really don't want to pry. I was just surprised. I don't know nearly enough about all of this to even formulate logical questions. If you let me talk too long, I'm going to ask something really embarrassing and probably offensive.
I don't have fleas.
What? I didn't mean... He laughed, shaking his head.
I figured I'd get the one I get asked the most out of the way. I don't have fleas. I don't shed or chase my tail. I just turn into a wolf for a few nights every month. The worst part about it, honestly, is having to run around without pants.
Some might consider that liberating.
It's mostly just cold.
I laughed and shut the book in front of me. No point reading when I had the real deal to talk to. Besides, I had a feeling I wouldn't get any reading done with him here anyway. I can see how it might get kind of breezy occasionally.
It's not so bad in the summer, but this time of year... Well, at least I have thick fur.
I guess that would help. Oh god, this is the weirdest conversation ever. And Danny wasn't at all what I would have imagined a werewolf to be like. I sort of imagined them as more rawr and less willing to joke about their lack of fleas, I supposed. I guess cryptics really do just look like regular people, huh?
Many of us, not all.
So when we met, you didn't realize that I was, you know, not just a normal person?
Nah. I mean, some cryptics can detect that sort of thing, but not me.
I don't have to worry that I smell weird?
No, you smell great.
I raised my eyebrows. I've been teasing, but did werewolves have an extra great sense of smell? Probably. I flushed slightly, wondering just how keen his senses were. Not that I smelled bad, but it makes a girl paranoid.
I mean, normal. Like a normal person. With nice body spray?
Oh god. I'm glad he noticed, though. That body spray was expansive.
Elliot has a way better sense of smell than I do anyway.
Noted. Is he a werewolf too?
Vampire.
I knew I was staring. But Elliot was a vampire? Danny just laughed.
Don't let that appearance fool you. He's faster and stronger than most guys in this school. Hand-eye coordination needs work, though.
I laughed at that. Danny was just so normal. He made jokes, he teased his friend. I was glad. I just was so glad that being a part of this world didn't mean everyone was some kind of weirdo. Danny suddenly leaned across the table and placed his huge hands over mine. I could feel my cheeks heat up as he stared at me.
Are you sure you're okay? I know this is a lot to take in. I've been there.
Oh, I'm okay. I mean, I'll totally fall to pieces again when I get home, but right now I'm okay. He grimaced and squeezed my hands. I found myself staring down at them. My hands looked tiny underneath his.
You don't have to deal with this alone, okay? I mean, look, you know you can rely on Allie and talk to her if you need to. But there's also Elliot. And there's me. I'm right next door.
He pulled his hands away abruptly and fished a phone out of his pocket.
Why don't we exchange numbers? You can call or text anytime you need anything. Doesn't matter what.
Yeah, I was not turning down the chance at his number. I knew he was just being nice, but hey, plenty of great things can grow out of one person just being nice. You know what I'm saying? That goes both ways. I mean, you're probably a pro at dealing with all this by now, but feel free to text and stuff. Danny smiled and pulled up his contact screen before handing over his phone. I did the same, and for a few minutes we were busy with that. I hope his icon is a wolf, please. Or a really cute puppy. That'd be awesome.
I wouldn't say I'm a pro at it. There's a lot to take in, no matter where in the paranormal community you end up. And werewolves have a lot of unique issues.
Yeah, I was reading about some of those things.
Well, at any rate, it's not something you have to worry about.
I'd hope not. I really don't think I could take much more craziness than what I'm already dealing with. Let me just tell you, being accosted by bridge trolls is not something I recommend.
I'll keep it in mind.
He stood and stretched before offering me his hand.
It's been a while. Allie is probably going to be back soon. Let's head back to the club room and wait for her. She'll probably have news about what happened this morning.
I took his hand and pulled myself to my feet. Thanks for sitting with me all this time.
It's not a problem.
Oh, I guess I should return the book.
Just leave it there. After a few minutes, it'll return by itself.
Really?
Well, it is a magic library.
Okay, good point. I felt kind of bad about it, but I left the book sitting there as Danny suggested. He led me back to the club room and opened the door for me. Allie was waiting for us, but looked like she just returned as well.
Hey, how'd it go?
I should probably be asking you that. But, I mean, it was fine. We just talked for a bit.
Thanks for staying with her, Danny.
Not a problem. But I should probably be heading back to class.
He looked down at me, frowning slightly.
You going to be okay?
Yeah, I think I will. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I said it wasn't a problem. Take care.
He left the club room and headed for the stairs, leaving Allie and I alone. Allie sprawled out on the sofa as if she was exhausted. Alright, so they found... Okay.
So we found your bridge, creep.
I shuddered. Ugh, what was it?
A Spriggan. I don't think it meant any harm, but it's been gently relocated to a less populated area.
You know, it said, "You're back," to me. How did it know I was back? I mean, it was acting like it knew me. Allie shook her head and shrugged.
Wild Fae say a lot of strange things. I wouldn't put too much stock in anything it said, but...
But?
Wild Fae don't show themselves to just anyone. Even I can't see them if they want to hide. The fact that you could see it...
Good grief, Allie, it cannot possibly get any weirder than it already has, so just say it!
I think you should start researching more deeply into the Fae. The fact you could see the Spriggan so easily could mean that's where your heritage lies. The agency guys agreed.
Well, at this point, that's no weirder than finding out I'm a vampire and I've secretly been sneaking out for years to eat my neighbors.
Or finding out you're a witch.
Or anything else magical, mystical, and or weird.
No doubt.
So now what?
Well, you can hide in the club and read all day, but I also got permission to take you home early.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that you have a very, very bad migraine.
That isn't actually a lie. My head really does feel ready to explode.
It gets easier. I promise it does.
I hope so.
Want me to take you home?
Actually, yeah, that would be great.
By the way...
She stood and went to pick up something by the door. My bag!
We found it hanging at the bottom of the bridge.
I took it from her and checked inside. Everything seemed to be there. Maybe Brenna left it there after I, ran off screaming?
Well, at least we were able to recover it.
Allie led the way out to the hall while I fumbled around trying to text my idiot brother. Going home. Bad headache. Have permission. I doubted he'd respond. He never did. During the walk to the car, I did my best to look ill in case anyone stopped us. It wasn't completely an act. Now that the adrenaline was gone and I didn't have a weird conversation to distract me, I actually was feeling a bit woozy. Allie didn't really know much about the Fae in general, so on the way home we mostly talked about the other club members. Well, she didn't go into all the details. Just the basics. Elliot and Mark were vampires. Elliot was infected a few years ago. Mark was born that way. Danny, of course, was a werewolf, also infected a few years ago. Ewan was Fae, a Dullahan, basically a headless rider, hence the head coming off. William was an Esper, which was essentially a human with psychic powers. Brenna was also some type of fae. Velos, Ali, and Corvin were all in the wizard category. There were several other members too, some from pretty much every category. A lot of them never showed up or participated. And like she'd said before, there were other staff members who were cryptics as well, including the school principal. It was just so weird. After Ali dropped me at home, I went straight to my room and crashed. I really hoped strange encounters like that morning weren't going to become the norm. But I was definitely going to be avoiding the bridge for a while. I didn't think I could stand another major incident. Not anytime soon, anyway. And given what Ali had hinted at regarding the upcoming holiday, it seemed like it would be best to lay low for a while. Ooh, we've made it to Danny's route. Next time, Chapter 1.